Let me tell you why the germ theory is wrong. We are around germs all day long. There's germs on our hands, there's germs on our tables, there's germs on everything we touch. If germs made us sick, we would be sick all the time. That is not the case. But see, the germ theory perpetuates something that drug companies like. Because when they have the germ theory, they can treat the symptoms. They can go after the quote-unquote germ with antibiotics. And they can sell their Alka-Seltzer cold and flu medicines and their Tylenol cold and flu medicines and all of those things. Germs do not make you sick. That you got to take care of your terrain. You take care of your terrain, you take care of your body, you'll live to the full 120. You don't need to have fear of bacteria, fear of yeast, fear of funguses, fear of your genetics. Let's change this world. We're not going to change your terrain by giving you drugs. You take care of your terrain, and I mean the mental, physical, and emotional terrain of your body, of your world. You survive and thrive on this planet. "54% of our children have a chronic illness or disease." Is it the disease or is it the terrain? It's time to change. The allopathetic model is done. With 60% of our adult population having a chronic illness or disease, and the medical literature is saying, my God, it's not the disease, it's the terrain. Your immune system dictates whether you're healthy or not. So, the smart thing to do is, let's strengthen our immune systems. You don't do the same therapy to everyone. You don't have the same medicine for everyone. You don't have the same reaction. Why? Because we're individuals. It is the terrain. Everybody here has different physical, chemical, or emotional stressors. It's not the pathogen. It's not the pathogen. The germ theory is still a theory 160 years later. Let's start thinking common sense. Common sense health means let's strengthen our immune systems. Let's do the things we know that can keep us healthy and make us healthy. So get the germ theory out of your head, guys. Germs don't make you sick.
There's no conclusive evidence for any virus that it causes disease in humans. I know that that's a hard pill to swallow, and because we've all observed what we think is contagion, that it would be very powerfully explained if there were some infectious agent that we, coughed and sneezed out and someone around us picked up. But the thing is that there's actually no evidence for that either. I know it sounds confusing because you've observed it, but did you really observe it? Because did you take, the snot from someone's nose and put it in someone else's nose? Or did you just observe that, well, people tend to get sick at the same time? So if you think about it carefully like that, you can see that the explanation is not quite perfect. The influenza vaccine actually can make you really sick. It's known to cause paralysis, which is known as Guillain-Barré syndrome. Well, viruses are simply excretions of a toxic cell. Viruses are pieces of DNA or RNA with a few other proteins. They bud out from the cell. They happen when the cell is poisoned. And the cells get poisoned, they try to purify themselves by excreting debris, which we call viruses. They are not the cause of anything. Diseases are poisoning. Every pandemic in the last 150 years, there was a quantum leap in the electrification of the Earth. In 1918, late fall of 1917, there was the introduction of radio waves around the world. And then starts in World War II with the next pandemic, with the introduction of radar equipment all over the Earth, blanketing the entire Earth in radar fields. In 1968, there was the Hong Kong flu, and it was the first time we put satellites emitting radioactive frequencies in the Van Allen belt. Within 6 months, we had a new viral pandemic. Whenever you expose any biological system to a new electromagnetic field, you poison it, you kill some, and the rest go into a kind of suspended animation, so that interestingly, they live a little bit longer and sicker. People are poisoned, they excrete toxins, they look like viruses. People think it's a flu epidemic. You can read about this in a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Furstenberg, who chronicles all the steps in the electrification of the Earth and how within 6 months there was a new flu pandemic all over the world. But when you think about it, with these radio waves and other frequencies that some of you have in your pocket and on your wrist, you can send a signal to Japan and it arrives instantaneously. So any of you who don't believe there is an electromagnetic field that communicates globally within seconds just is not paying attention to this. There has been a dramatic and quantum leap in the last 6 months with the electrification of the Earth. And I'm sure a lot of you know what that is. It's called 5G, where they now have 20,000 radiation-emitting satellites, just like the radiation-emitting thing in your pocket and on your wrist and that you use all the time. That is not compatible with health. I'm sorry to say it, it's not compatible with health. That is a water destructuring device. We are electrical beings, and the chemicals are only the byproduct of those electrical impulses. Anybody want to make one guess as to where the first completely blanketed 5G city in the world was? Exactly. So when you start thinking about this, we are in an existential crisis here, folks, the likes of which humankind has never seen. The susceptibility has to do with how much metal you have in your body, as well as the quality of the water in your cells.
Crises of this nature are often opportunities to impose greater social restrictions, but similarly they're an opportunity to bring about social change.
You know, we do have to be very mindful of history, and I think one thing that we know historically is the way in which these kind of crises do have a fundamental reordering of the nature of politics. The one thing that crises truly reveal is what's already broken in a society.